Hi, it's Elisa, the Half Asian Tarot Queen. I've been kind of off the grid for a while. Well, had a family emergency. Actually, yesterday was my father's funeral, so I've been kind of off the grid. But I'm kind of starting to creep back into life. Got my dad's hat, and I'm gonna do a tarot reading, see where we're at. I'm gonna go back to this mystical shaman oracle because I was really getting a lot from it. I've been, obviously there's been a lot of big changes happening, and it's been really emotional. But I did actually get this really beautiful message from my dad the other day, and right when I was saying that, actually, these were the cards that came out: the Beloved and the Arrow, which is really beautiful and perfect, and totally goes along with what I was just saying, because obviously this speaks to, someone that you have a deep connection with. And then the arrow is sort of like, it's sort of like when you just like hit the mark, and not, when your intention, you pull the bow and release it and it hits the mark, like right on target. And because it's kind of in alignment with the universe, and you're in alignment with the universe, so you have all of the power of the universe in alignment with you. So it's like, it's really beautiful, because the message well, I'll just tell you, the message, like, my dad told me before he passed away that I was still going to get messages from him, and that they would come as coincidences. And so it was right before his viewing, and I was really heartbroken. And I'm vegan, and I'm a vegan chef, and so I was always trying to get my dad to eat healthier and eat plant-based food, and he was always giving me a hard time about it. And I stopped at the grocery store to get food, for my family, because my sisters got a big family and they were all coming over, and I was trying to get some food for everyone to eat. And I ran into like 4 of his friends at the grocery store in that moment. But then I was just kind of cruising all the sale items, and at first I come across these really decadent, fancy, but not very healthy for you chocolates, and the brand name was Charles, which is my dad's name. And I was less like, oh, yep, that's something he would eat, and I kind of laughed to myself. And then, I kept walking, and a couple shelves over, I found another sale, and then there were these healthy vegan cookies, these healthy vegan bites. And the brand name was Elisa, which is my name, obviously. And it's a pretty unusual name. So just to have both of those, Charles and Elisa, right next to each other and both on sale, it was just like the arrow hit the mark, and it was right before his viewing, and I was so heartbroken. And after that, I just felt so much better, because it was like he was still there. And when I was leaving the store, I ran into another one of his friends, and I told him what happened, because I was just like, I can't believe this, it's like, this is my dad. And he was like, yep, that's your dad's sense of humor. Like, it's definitely a message from your dad, So the arrow hit the mark. And we'll see where else this goes. I'm going to pull out another deck. Okay, so I'm going back to the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. And I'm going to pull some overall energies for this reading. Just kind of getting back into the... Well, at the bottom of the deck, we have the Three of Swords, Heartbreak, which, I can relate to that right now. I was really close to my dad, so it's a big loss. Sorry to cry. I've been really emotional. So anyway, I'm going to pull 3 cards. It's overall energies for the reading. Hopefully it won't be such a downer, but kind of have to jump back into it somehow. So Okay, well, I got some extra cards that just flew out, so interesting. Oh my gosh. Wow. All right, so there were a lot of extra cards that flew out, but at the bottom of the deck, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So, you know, the tides are changing, like a big shift is underway. Then we have the Emperor, the Queen of Wands, and what's interesting is we have also the King of Pentacles. And this is interesting because this really speaks to a thread that's been recurring on the channel called Dynasty, and it was all about this King of Pentacles who was kind of learning the spiritual lesson, which involved having to right some wrong and speak some truth to correct some injustice that had happened to a female counterpart. And it's interesting because this Queen of Wands can often signify the other woman, or that's what she can mean, but she's been appearing, this energy has been appearing a lot in the Divine Feminine thread, which has been intersecting with this storyline. And basically, this King of Pentacles is kind of the main character in a thread called Phoenix, but in sort of righting this wrong and learning the spiritual lesson and sort of speaking truth to whatever injustice had befallen his counterpart, he ascends to an emperor status. And then it turns into this thread called Dynasty. So that's really interesting because the other two cards that fell out were the Tower card, which speaks to some huge change, unexpected change, and then the Ace of Pentacles. So some new opportunity is coming online. It's a big opportunity for a fresh start, and it's you know, tangible, like maybe a new job opportunity or an inheritance or some kind of huge opportunity is turning the situation on its head. So it could be like the trigger that's triggering this event. Okay, so I'm going to pull 6 cards from the Bianco Nero to get some general energies to see if we can get a little bit more insight into what's going on, because, well, at the bottom of this deck we have the Three of Cups, which can speak to a reunion. Oh, and the Nine of Wands. This is a Wounded Warrior card, which is interesting because that's my dad. He's a Vietnam vet. You know, he was wounded in combat, and that's how he met my mom. That's how I came to be in you know. Anyway, so there's a reunion happening with this Wounded Warrior, or there's someone who's kind of at the end of their rope with some sort of situation and maybe wants to reunite with somebody. I'm not sure. I'm going to pull some more cards and see if we can get some more clarity. But, yeah, it's interesting. My dad was obviously a Wounded Warrior, and he was like, you know, he went home this week, you know, so we'll see how that could pertain to another situation here, but it looks like there's a big shift going down for sure. Okay. Pull a few more cards. Oh. This is an interesting and climactic reading. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. So, we have the High Priestess. So this is a card of manifestation and a card of sort of being tapped into the collective consciousness. So like this whole message of an arrow hitting its mark because you're in alignment with the universe. There was actually a whole reading about this, which I'll link to, which may be relevant because it was all about, I think it was actually a reading for the Divine Feminine specifically about, you know, coming into her power, and not because she's like actively trying to force some sort of outcome, but because she just came into alignment with sort of like this destiny, and so the universe was behind her, you know. So this card kind of speaks to that. And then we have the Four of Swords, which is sort of like a moment of contemplation. And then we have the Justice card, which is interesting because I was talking about this ascension event, which was being triggered, where this King of Pentacles was ascending into his Emperor status by kind of righting some wrong that had befallen his sort of divine counterpart. And that was going to allow him to become the emperor, you know. So this justice energy is like obviously a righting of some kind of wrong. It can also speak to like a Libra, you know, some sort of situation involving someone of that sign. But what's interesting is right under this, when I was talking about this divine feminine coming into alignment, and right under that with her destiny, and sort of like this justice happening. Well, right under this card we have the Judgment card, which is, this is a card of reckoning, you know, which definitely goes along with this, where it's like karma is being dealt, you know, like whatever wrong that was happened, like there's a judgment that's happening, and it's not happening because of, you know, someone trying to force their hand, but just because it's just in alignment with karma, you know. And then under the Four of Swords, we have another four, which is the Four of Wands. So this is a marriage, family, stability card. So we have two fours. So these are like all about building a foundation. It's been contemplated for some time, so it's not like a rash thing. And then we have the Page of Pentacles. So this is just kind of like, it's almost like this situation has been hovering for some time. You know, we've been contemplating it forever, like kind of waiting for an opportune moment for this change to happen, you know. And it's almost like this moment is here. The reckoning is here, and we're just taking like a baby step in that direction in the tangible three-dimensional world. Like it's not something that's being contemplated or planned on or trying to manifest for the future. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of manifestation that's gone into it, but it's actually starting to surface in three-dimensional reality as like a tangible, seeable thing. So that speaks to a change, you know. I'm going to pull 3 cards of guidance just to see if I can get a little bit more, well, just guidance about how we can move through this energy. Because, yeah, this is really interesting because, you know, it's kind of speaking to a lot of energies that have been coming up for a long time. Okay, so interesting. So I just had 3 cards pop up at the end, so I'm gonna have them go together. But we had the Two of Pentacles and the Four of Cups, which is interesting because I was talking about how there's a situation that's been being contemplated for some time, but it hasn't been surfacing in three-dimensional reality, you know. So that's kind of what these speak to. This is like juggling. The Four of Cups speaks to sort of like this, there's this cup being offered, there's this opportunity that's there, but it's like you're not taking it, you know. So it's just like there's this opportunity and you kind of want this, but you're sort of juggling because maybe you're waiting for the right moment to come, or you're not ready, or, you know, it's just been being contemplated. So like, yeah, this card speaks to contemplating some sort of marriage family stability situation, but you know, it hasn't been acted on as of yet, you know. And then you're like trying to manifest this reckoning, you know, but it hasn't, this, you know, you're juggling because it hasn't surfaced yet. But this kind of speaks to the end of this juggling, because it's like you've been contemplating it, manifesting this change for a while, but it's like at the end where we have the Justice card, and then something small starting to surface in three-dimensional reality. And then we had the 3 cards pop out, and so we've got the Page of Wands, which speaks to like a new spark or new inspiration coming online. And then we have the Knight of Wands, which is interesting, because I feel like the last readings I did before everything happened and I went offline and went off the grid, this character was coming up a lot. So this Knight of Wands is kind of like this player Don Juan kind of character, and you know, he's real popular with the ladies, but like not super reliable, you know. And so, but he was involved in, like, I feel like there was a reading where, you know, he was this King of Pentacles that needed to right the wrong so that he could ascend to his emperor status. Like there was some sort of cross collaboration between these characters and some other readings. So I'm going to try to link that. But this speaks to, I mean, the other card that fell out with this was the Death card. So there's some new inspiration that's happening to this player character, and he's undergoing some sort of transformation, you know. So he's changing. Something big is shifting with this guy, you know, like maybe he's coming into some sort of opportunity, or, you know, this fell right over the Justice, so like maybe he's actually righting this wrong, and this is triggering this change, you know, this ascension event that's happening. So the arrow, it's hitting its mark, you know. Something big is changing, but it's not just changing in the world of energy, like it's actually happening, you know, in the physical reality. So that's kind of exciting. I'm going to pull 3 cards from the Gateway Oracle. This is I feel like the last reading I did was something like the doorway to a new life, you know, and then I didn't do any readings for however long it was, and I feel like I've been offline for a few weeks, or, you know, and so it's interesting that this first reading back is all about, you know, some huge paradigm shift that's basically revealing like this new reality, you know. It's starting to let itself be known, you know. So okay. All right, so we got 2 cards that just came out. Seems pretty fitting based on what I just said. So, embracing the future. I step into the future with an open heart. So I think this speaks to, you know, the past. It's gone. You know, it's not here anymore, and so we have to embrace the future and step forward, you know, into the future and be open to the change, because, you know, the past is gone, you know, like, and it's not coming back, like like this, you know. And believe in magic. True magic is abounding in my life. So you know, be fearless, because be open to being a good change. It's kind of like the whole thing with my dad. Like I was so heartbroken, because I'm like, how am I gonna live without my dad? Like, he's my best friend. Like, it's so heartbreaking. But then I get this message from him, you know, and it's just like, no, he's still here. But now He's like almost more here because he's just ever present, like all the time, you know, like it's like a new era of how we'll be together. Yeah, so then the two cards that just fall out after this story is we get the masculine and we get protection. Like, that's so perfect. It's like, yep, my dad's still, he's still watching over me, but from a different perch. And so, yeah, this guy he's undergoing some sort of transformation, but it's just a change, you know. He's still around, but maybe it's actually better because he's gonna go from this guy to higher status, you know, like, yeah, like now my dad went from being like human to like superhuman, and like maybe this guy went from being a player to maybe something a little more reliable. Like, we'll see. So yeah, hopefully that was a not too sad of a reading. I think it actually was a pretty good reading. So yeah, I'm just starting to creep back into this, so I'm not sure how reliably steady I'm going to be, but you know, I'm just gonna let it be what it is. So I'll see you soon, hopefully. Thanks.